Hey guys, it's Brad from probateresource.com. So I am back here with my friend April Jackson from Tennessee, and she is going to talk to us about some various topics. So we'll have a whole series here for some probate and estate and conservatorship topics around Tennessee. So today we're going to talk about, in this case, Tenncare, which is essentially Medicaid in Tennessee. And what are some instances where someone might qualify? And then in terms of conservatorships, what are some things that they need to know about Tenncare in Tennessee?
Yeah, so Tenncare I say that it has three eligibility categorizations, and that is basically your assets, your income, and then you have to be medically qualified.
Okay.
So usually, someone is medically qualified if these are long-term care supports. If they're in a skilled nursing facility, what we might call a nursing home, some type of care community where they are receiving an elevated level of care.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the medical piece. The nurses will deal with that. The hospitals will deal with that. The income and asset piece is that, and this number changes a little bit every year. We can fix the income piece very easily with what's called a qualified income trust. The asset piece is where we get tricky, where everything comes to a sticking point. Is that, for most people, they have their house, they have a car, they have checking and savings accounts, they might have investments or retirement accounts, and some of those things are countable and some of those things are not countable. So for Tenncare purposes, the house and the car are not accountable.
Okay.
Basically everything else is.
Okay. That's you. Great.
That could also be, if you have a high value life insurance policy that has a cash value.
Okay.
It could be, hey, I've got this Rembrandt in my closet.
People, in their closet, right?
Yeah. So anything that's valuable. And so where we really see glitches with this is people who think, oh, I'm going to need Tenncare. Let me go ahead. I heard that I have to give away. I can't have anything. And so they will actually give their stuff away, which then, if they need Tenncare within the next 5 years, Tenncare is going to impose a penalty for whatever property that they gave away was worth.
Yeah, it's a look back.
It's a look back. And the problem is we don't know when that 5 years will start.
Right.
But we see people who will, they'll put a family member's name on the deed. They'll give their house to their children without kind of knowing the consequences. We've even had cases where right before they entered a nursing home, someone gave their house to their child, put their child's name on the deed, and then the child sold it. And so in that situation, you can't really, your buyer is not going to give your money back.
No.
And so then they were looking at, okay, let's say it's a, $3,000 or $300,000 house. Tenncare is now going to say, look, you would have had $300,000 had you not given your house away. So we are not going to pay for the time that you would have spent that $300,000.
Wow. Even if it happened 3 years ago or whatever, and that money's long gone, doesn't matter.
Yeah, there are some exceptions to that, but not usual. Obviously you can still do birthday presents and graduation presents, wedding presents, holidays, things like that. But anything that's really kind of outside the norm is probably going to be considered a gift for Tenncare purposes.
Okay. And in cases of Tenncare, you and I were talking offline about this, but there are certain circumstances where someone will have to enter conservatorship. And what kind of impacts does that have on that?
Yeah. So when someone enters a conservatorship, so a lot of people are familiar with this now from certain celebrities. Basically, they no longer have the right to enter for themselves. That now belongs to the person who is their conservator. And that's, a court process where we're worried about making sure their rights are upheld. But at the end of the day, they don't have the right to contract. And so they cannot sell their house. They can't sell their car. They can't buy a car. They can't buy a house. Everything is really managed by the conservator. And the courts are, in most cases, watching those accounts down to the penny.
Yeah.
And so we have a conservatorship where, maybe the person has moved into a care community of some sort, and you've still got this house that is incurring, you're paying taxes from the conservatorship, you're paying homeowners insurance from the conservatorship, maybe you're paying a mortgage. That probably doesn't make sense anymore if there's no one living there. And so you would need to petition the court to be able to sell that property. And so you actually have to go to court twice. Once to say, hey, can I list this property for sale?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to go back to court so that the court can approve the sales price and approve closing.
So like, can I list it? And then if you get it under contract, or you get a potential buyer that says, I want to buy it, you got to go back to the court and say, hey, is this okay?
Yeah, the purchase in the contract, it should be made that it's contingent upon court approval. And so really what the court is looking for is that you were able to get a good price, that, it's not, I'm selling it to my cousin, and that it's really maximizing the assets of the conservatorship estate.
Yeah, it's an arm's length transaction, and either close to fair market value or, a bona fide offer, I guess you could say, right? Yes. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah, conservatorships are always interesting. I mean, we've dealt with a few of them over the years, and it adds a lot of timeline to everything, right? Like it's and complications.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the things where, we always, like, if you are in that situation where you are going to be helping someone else, especially if there's any type of court involvement through probate, through the conservatorship, you want to really be planning ahead so that, we can go ahead and know, like, is there someone helping you? Is there a realtor? Who's the lender? Because we're going to need all that paperwork,
right?
Meant to the court. And the longer it takes us to get the paperwork, the more likely that your closing is going to be held up.
Right. Yeah, I know we've had cases where we've had to, present our offer to them, our contract, our proof of funds. Sometimes we had to get my escrow, let them know, okay, funds are in escrow. Like, there was a lot of things that we had to make sure were done. Especially, we've had some that we had to get not only approved, but then they were also, the property was in foreclosure too. And that adds a whole nother level of messiness to it, for sure. So, okay, awesome. Well, great. Well, that's great information on that. If anybody wants more information or needs some help or dealing with a conservatorship, they can definitely reach out to April. Her link to her website is below to get a hold of her. So I hope that helps you out today.